So, remember this thing? Yeah, I think we solved it. And all it took was some colorful interpretations. If you're just looking for the answer that we landed on, there are timestamps if you feel like skipping ahead, but I want to explain how we got there as well, since I'm sure there are going to be people who care about that sort of thing. To start, let's actually go over what I'll be talking about today. A few days ago, Steel Wool put out this tweet. No secrets, no hidden clues, no teaser, no countdown. Just 3 differences. Probably. How fast can you spot them? So on the surface, it's a simple find the difference game, but, well, we all know better than that. Since Steel Wool posted this to multiple platforms and specifically said, haha, yeah guys, there's definitely no hint here, everyone was pretty convinced that there was something to find here. Some kind of hint that would hopefully tease the next FNaF game. The differences between these 2 pictures were a chicken floaty vanishing from the wall, the chicken floaty in the water turning from the right to the left, and a floaty on the far right changing color. As it turned out, these differences actually ended up being massive hints for the answer that we ultimately came to, but we'll get to that later. The first thing all of the theorists that I know thought of after finding the 3 obvious differences between these 2 images was to look at the floaties on the wall like clocks, because, well, they're circles hanging on a wall. That's enough for the average FNaF fan. I went down this path as well, looking at these, what are these, handles? As if they were clock hands. I noted down every number that a hand would be indicating, using the fact that every single floaty has the same angle to deduce some of the ones that can't be seen. My first thought was to add up the numbers for each section on the wall, then adding up all of those numbers, then attempting to assign them to the ones on the table, then the ones on the floor, and this got me absolutely nowhere. But it got me thinking a bit more about these floaties, and it made me realize how weird it was that all of these were at the same angle. Clock hands can be at literally any angle, so maybe this was the wrong track to be on? After all, if these were actually meant to be clock hands, then I think that should have been reflected in them somehow. So instead of trying to look at these like hands of a clock, I started to look at them like arrows. This made a lot more sense with the consistent angles, but what was I supposed to do with them? They don't seem to be pointing at anything, so it had to be something completely different. I briefly considered the idea that they might be some kind of substitution code, but with only 8 clear directions and so few characters to solve, that didn't seem very likely either. So, after thinking about it some more, I had a different thought. Maybe we're meant to draw something? From here, I made one line and copied it, over and over, to ensure the segment for each arrow would be the same length. Starting off with the chicken floaties, things seemed promising. A straight vertical line. This could be a 1, an L, or even an I. So I decided to move on to the next set, and everything completely fell apart. But I still wasn't ready to give up just yet, so I kept going. The next thing that I did was consider the idea that if you continued these lines throughout the entire thing, it might create a picture. There were a few uncertainties with this, the most obvious of them being the fact that the angle of this floaty is obscured. But I'd already dealt with that thanks to the clock hands. I tried 2 different permutations of this, and they didn't work. Once again, I was at a dead end. But the arrows felt so promising, so I had to keep trying to use them. I tried reading them in different directions, switching from left to right, then top to bottom. Tried reading each vertical column and moving on to the next. I tried various different versions of everything based on the changes in the image, like shortening the chicken line, turning the chicken line counterclockwise, turning everything counterclockwise, replacing the 3rd symbol with the 2nd, and then combining various different combinations of this. And all I managed to do was reinvent hieroglyphics. But I still wasn't ready to give up. So I went back to the start. Back to the clock faces, now with the arrows in mind. And I came to a new idea. What if the arrows are meant to point to a number on a clock face? Could I add those up and get a date from there? So I tried that, and failed. No matter what I tried, I couldn't get anything from this that seemed useful. I decided to take a break from these teasers at this point and focus on other projects instead. And after showing off the indecipherable results of my attempts at the end of Cryo's stream, I also sent them in one of the creator servers that I'm a part of. Another theorist, Fnafology, sent hers in return. The way that she tackled this was by focusing on the differences between the two images first. The bottom right chicken floaty disappears, which she took to be calling attention to the bottom right floaty in each section. The chicken floaty in the pool changed direction, hinting that we should pay attention to the direction of the floaties. And finally, the color of one of the floaties changed, which indicated the color was also important. And so she combined these three hints together. She decided that we should focus on the bottom right floaty of each section, in the order of these floaties from right to left, which was the way that the chicken in the pool turned. And by using this and applying clock faces to the floaties like everyone else had been doing, she got 3 potential dates: 10-6, 10-3, and 11-3. And this gave us absolutely nothing. There's nothing we can decipher from just 3 random dates, and choosing one of them at random would be arbitrary. You also can't be sure they're meant to be dates, it's just where the clock hands would point, so this was where her dead end was. We joked around about how applying her logic to the arrows I came up with would give us 3 numbers, 8, 12, and 2, but you can't really make a date out of this, so we thought it was all nonsense. Until we realized that if we include the next floaty in line, the chicken, it gives us a 6. 8, 12, 2, 6. August 12th, 2026. A real date. And honestly, with that result in mind, even the floaties on the table start to feel like a clue. If we look at the floaties on the table from right to left, like we were doing to the ones on the ground, we get this. Something slash something, and then, separately, 2 somethings with no slash between them, indicating that the first 2 numbers should be separated by a slash, and that the final 2 numbers should be put together, like a year. And, taking it a step further, you could even argue that the floaty that got replaced was meant to hint at swapping the teal floaty here with the blue floaty over here, which would make the top one in each stack also indicate our color order. And so, that's how we got to the conclusion. By combining the absolute insanity we both went through trying to do this alone, we reach a date that's coming up really soon. August 12th, 2026. The content drought of FNaF is finally coming to a close, all thanks to the power of friendship. As for what I think this is ultimately teasing for us, it's almost certainly a new game. With the focus on chickens in these images specifically, I think this might end up being a teaser for a new Chica game. She's gotten quite a bit of time in the spotlight recently, between appearing in Secret of the Mimic and whatever Chica's secret party is supposed to be. We still have several questions about that in particular, and I think this could be where we finally get the answers. With that said, I want to say thank you to my channel members, Keppy Weppy and Cryonide. I'll see you guys in the next one, and have a
Fazerific day!